If we go boots on the ground. Okay, yep.
You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast.
All right, folks. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. The world is on fire. There's so much to cover. I decided to bring in a voice of reason with me, and we got Rage Bronson, as you know him, the French toast and peanut butter guy, which at some point this week, I'm going to get some French toast and peanut butter so we can finally determine whether we confirm or deny Rage Bronson's theories on French toast. Rage Bronson, how you doing today, bud?
Doing good. I'll believe that when I see it. You've been talking about eating peanut butter and French toast for like 3 months now.
Fair. That's fair criticism. Look, there's a lot going on here, and I think there's lots to discuss. And I'm also very curious to hear what you guys have to say on what's happening with Iran. I think all of us are very hesitant to get into any sort of boots on the ground war. As a matter of fact, I not only am hesitant, I don't want to see that. And I think we're in agreement with that. That being said, there's a lot of tools at our disposal, just like we saw in Venezuela, that are between boots on the ground, a full-out Iraq and Afghanistan problem situation that we have, and what's happening in Iran. And we're going to talk about some of the nuances of that, understanding that we're actually adults and we can have these deeper discussions as opposed to one thing or another. And apparently we're left with this binary choice that X, the internet, and everybody else seems to think that we're left with, and that is just not the case. I do want to say hi to everybody over in the chat. We're still waiting for everybody to show up just a little bit. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like, subscribe, and if you'd like to support us, you can go down in the link down in the description and become a member. And that really helps us out too. If you're following us on X, you can also become a subscriber. It's a couple bucks a month. That helps us, and that goes a long way as well. And speaking of great podcasts, if you guys aren't following Rage Bronson, make sure you guys go follow him. Bronson, besides X and YouTube, what other platforms are you on?
None. I mean, I have accounts, but I don't do anything on them.
I've been listening to a few of his podcasts the last couple of nights, trying to catch up on it. Go check them out, guys. Speaking of which, what like program you got? All these crazy graphics and everything else on that. Like, what are you using to do that?
I run OBS.
So you use OBS and like an overlay.
Yep.
Cool. Too easy. Yep. Cool. I want to say hi to. Let's see who we got over here in the chat already. We got Lynn Pell 130 or 33. Hi guys, have to jump onto something in a minute. Something that moved on me. CJ Correnti over in the chat. Good to see you. We got JP6 Gunner, the Duke Norris show. Iran dropped a couple of bombs on Dubai, and these things are developing. That's another thing that I wanted to do is get somebody else in here as we're talking about different things. We can figure out what is developing, and we can report those to you as they're happening as well. Well, that's a great question. I don't know. There should be an American flag in the emojis. You got to look for it. I've used it. I see it. I do it all the time on, I don't know what looks like you're on YouTube. Benjamin Johnson over there. Benjamin. I know who you are. I'm sure you don't want your real last name exposed out there. So first and foremost, let's just start it off like this. I'm getting ready to show you guys a video that got my blood boiling just a little bit over on X. But the first thing I want to know is a simple yes or no over in the chat if you guys support the strikes in Iran and taking out the Ayatollah Khomeini. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that. And the first thing I want to do is just go ahead and play this video because this got me pretty heated a little while ago. I reposted this. Well, first thing I did, look, when you see things like this, folks, don't just share them. Like screen grab that thing and post it as your own. I want to take views and likes away from this asshat right here. And there's a reason for it. So let's hear what Ryan Mata has to say about what's taking place there in Iran.
Let's go, Iran. Iran just hit Tel Aviv. That's what I'm fucking talking about. So April Silverman says, breaking, an Iranian missile has reportedly just hit Tel Aviv, Israel. She says, pray. So far, 7 injured in the center, 1 in moderate condition, and 6 slightly wounded. Pray for who? We're praying for Iran. I don't know about you guys, but check this out.
Regime preservation. Could you get a more pragmatic figure presiding over this regime? Sure.
Aaron, I just want to break in for a moment because we're looking at live pictures in the air over Tel Aviv,
and if our politicians think that because they sent us, our sons and daughters, over into Israel, that we're gonna now to support Israel? No, we're gonna continue to support Iran, and we're gonna tell our boys, our brothers and sisters to come home, resign, get the hell out of there. You don't owe this government a gosh damn thing. Let's go, Iran. Iran just hit Tel Aviv. That's what I'm fucking talking about.
So my response to that was Ryan Mata is an effing traitor and the dumbest motherfucker to ever put his face in front of a camera cheering for our enemy. There are Americans in Tel Aviv. Folks, there are diplomats, U.S. diplomats in Tel Aviv. There are U.S. soldiers, men and women in Tel Aviv. There are American tourists in Tel Aviv. There are American business folks going over there for business. There are all kinds of Americans all over Tel Aviv. And when you are someone that's getting on here and cheering for our enemy, there's nothing that disgusts me more. Nothing that disgusts me more. And I don't care what you feel about Israel. All right. We can have all the discussions about policy differences of, you know, what their involvement is in our country and our politics and everything else. But let me tell you something. If you're so dumb that you would choose I don't care what you think of Israel. If you're going to choose Iran over Israel, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You have no clue what's going on in this world. You have no clue what they do. They are one of the biggest sponsors of terrorism in the world. They are responsible for thousands of American soldiers being killed or maimed in Iraq, many of which I personally know. They were the number one, once we started having MRAPs, better up-armored vehicles that were deployed to Iraq, what we started seeing were EFPs, explosively formed projectiles, developed, designed, and made in Iran, and coming across and by the thousands and killing American soldiers left and right. So that's who Iran is. And not to mention all of the other terrorism they sponsor in the world. So, you know, that's what we're dealing with. And there is no comparison. I don't care what you think about Israel. There's no comparison between Israel and Iran. They are our enemy through and through. We can have policy differences about Israel. You can think that they have their hands too much involved in our politics and our policies. There's no comparison. And if you are comparing them, or you think that Iran is the person to choose over the United States and Israel, I'm sorry, you've lost the plot. You don't know what you're talking about, and you're just ignorant. Bronson, what's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so even from a perspective of not supporting striking Iran, okay, let's just say don't support striking Iran. Not a good idea. Of course, we have no idea where this leads. No clue. This is day one, right?
Yep.
So let's say don't like Israel, don't support dropping bombs on Iran. I still don't understand how you root for Iran, how you come out and say that you are rooting for Iran in any of this. That blows my mind. I get not supporting war. I get not supporting Israel. I get being America first or even being America only. I get it. But to just be like, go Iran, these people have lost the plot. They are out of their fucking minds or they're fake. Either way, it's all bad. There's nothing good there.
Yeah.
So he's either just doing it for rage bait to get attention because he makes money off of X, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or he's nuts. Or other word. There's other words I want to use, guys, but I'm keeping it YouTube appropriate.
Yeah, and look, Iran, number one, has been an enemy of the United States for a really long time. And, you know, like we need to put
45 years, something like that.
45 years. They started off that regime by taking a bunch of Americans hostage, and those Americans stayed hostages until Ronald Reagan came in, because we had a weak Jimmy Carter, and we had Ronald Reagan came in. He said they better be home, or we're bringing the heat to you. And guess what? We got them back. It was peace through strength, and that's what we've missed out for a really long time, especially with the Biden administration, and then the Obama administration prior to the first Trump administration. It's no coincidence that we had relative peace under the first Trump administration, and then we had the world catch on fire under the Biden administration, and now we have Trump coming in and cleaning things up. We were definitely in the trajectory of Iran getting a nuclear weapon. And I don't think there's anybody out there that understands global politics of what's going on. There's nobody out there that's reasonable that thinks it makes sense for Iran to have nuclear weapons, that have the ability to strike. We are not a safer world for it. If they have the ability to strike Europe, if they have the ability to strike Israel, and especially if they have the ability to strike the United States. So, that was Donald Trump's ultimatum. It was like, you are not going to get a nuclear weapon. And he gave them 10 days. He gave them 10 days demanding a new nuclear agreement, and that expired without progress. And look, if you are going to have peace, the only way to do it is peace through strength. And when you tell somebody and you draw a red line, hey, you either come to the table, we talk this through, or there's going to be severe consequences. I mean, you got to follow through with that. And that's something that they knew that the Biden administration and the Obama administration wouldn't do. And unfortunately, they tested Trump. And guess what? Now we have the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, is now dead. And I think we're a better world for that. Now, I am not in agreement with, turning this into some prolonged war like we had with Iraq and Afghanistan. We have a lot of capabilities, and we've already demonstrated them with the Trump administration. I think he is on board with with the way that I would approach this, and that is exactly through strikes, through limited military operations, not necessarily a war, just like we saw in Venezuela. But we can unleash a lot of capabilities very quickly and then get the heck out of there. And that's what we should have and could have done in Iraq and Afghanistan, but we didn't. We had a bunch of greedy politicians that saw an opportunity where they could make billions and billions of dollars to prolong the war, and the only thing it cost was American soldiers' lives.
What's the Iranian people's response to this?
I think it's mixed. Look, I mean, there's going to be people that are going to support the regime because they're embedded with the regime. I mean, just like we have here in the United States, we have Democrats and Republicans that see things very, very differently. And I'm sure there's people that are going to support the regime. I don't know what the numbers are. I was actually going to try to get somebody. We'll probably have somebody in the next day or two that is really smart on Iranian politics, and I would love to hear their assessment of what's going on over there. I don't think we really know, and I think you can kind of anything that we hear on X. I think you can, whether from either side of that, I think you can chalk that up to some sort of propaganda or take it for what it is, right?
Sure. I don't know if you watch or listen to Patrick Bet David very much, but he did make a post earlier on today that I thought was pretty interesting. It's just a little video, and I did send that to you if you wanted to pull that up. I believe, I sent it to you in chat. I believe that he says it was something like 81% did not support the regime.
And I'm just curious to where he's getting those numbers from.
I think I don't remember if he says or not, but I know he lived in that. He's from that region. He grew up in that region.
Sure. What I'm going to do, I will pull that up. I thought this was interesting. This was Tucker on Iran before he hated the Jews.
Brother, we are. Yeah. That's absolutely right. Tucker, aren't we the only country allowed to make preemptive strikes? Who the hell does Iran think it is? That's it. Actually, I know you're sort of kidding, but I agree with that. I think we are the only.
No,
country
I'm
with
not
the
kidding
moral
at all.
authority. Rather, we are. That's absolutely right. The only country with the moral authority sufficient to do that. The only country that doesn't seek hegemony in the world. I do think, I'm sure I'm the lone voice in saying this, I think Iran deserves to be annihilated. I think they're lunatics. I think they're evil. I do think we ought to assess what would happen to the price of energy were we to do that. I don't think that's a small factor. It could tank our economy.
Tucker, aren't we the only country allowed to make preemptive strikes? Who the hell does Iran think it is?
So that was Tucker not too long ago. And I want to play this that Bronson sent me. This is Patrick Bet David. Let's hear what he has to say on this.
The supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, is officially dead. They killed him. They found his body. Reports came in. Let me tell you why this is big. This is not killing a president. This is not killing a prime minister. This is not killing a king. You're killing the supreme leader of a religion. This is number 2 to God. They killed. And by the way, the last time the supreme leader was alive, I was in Iran. It was June 3rd, 89. When he died, Khomeini, I was in fifth grade at a school called Gulbenkian, and it was chaotic in Iran because their hero died. This guy didn't die. They killed him. By the way, according to reports, 81% of Iranians hate this regime and they want it to be changed. Not 61%, not 51%, not 31%. Nearly 81% want this person to be gone, and he's gone. So what happens next? Trump killed Qasem Soleimani, reputation. Now he kills the supreme leader, combined with a couple different.
See, Bronson, I thought you were saying he thought 81% supported the regime.
No,
again,
hated.
I'm skeptical of any of these numbers that come out from anybody. I mean, I think we as Americans would like to think that the Iranians don't support this regime. I don't know. But, we're going to play some video of, Iran from the 70s before the Islamists took over. And I think we can all agree that was a much better situation for them back then, for sure.
Countries. How many people are on IRGC side? How many countries? Maybe a handful? Who's supporting them? Who? You don't think people are sitting there saying, well, about 180 countries are against you. Why? Because how many countries go around the world saying death upon America, death upon America, death upon infidels? Who says that? You don't think the president and his team wanted to negotiate with you guys to say, just say you're never going to have nuclear weapons? No, just for 3 years so you can be out and then we can get another Biden in and we can go out there and do all that stuff. So look, whether you're not happy about this because you're an anti-war person, which I totally get. No one wants war. I lived there as a kid. I saw people dying and no one wants that. It was the most anxiety, panic as a little boy. Nobody should experience that. Till today, certain sounds still get me because I go back to being a boy, and I was in the U.S. Army here. Nobody wants to see this happen, except maybe if your name is John Bolton and Lindsey Graham. But for everybody else who is wanting the world to be a safer place, if this gets quickly like this and everybody else sits around and says, hey guys, they're about to kill you and your kids, and you, who's next? Let's just work with these guys. What do you want to do? Guys, we're done. Surrender. Put the flag. We're done, guys. What do you want to do next? Let's make it work. Let's your people go elect somebody they want as a president, whoever it is. Let's go back to having good diplomacy. Let's stop being the agent of chaos in the Middle East, and let's make it a safer place. So, very interesting day for me because I'll never forget June 3rd, 89. Never. I was 10 years old, about to be 11. So a great day for a lot of people that feel liberated. And none of this would have happened without President Trump. Many presidents have talked a big game. None of them had the brass to make the decision. You got to give him respect. While he's in the heat of moment with everybody saying, you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do this, they planned it out different than the way they did Venezuela. And they got Khamenei. Obviously, let's see what happens next. They could retaliate. But I think we will see fairly quickly what their next move is going to be.
Well, we know that Iran has retaliated, and we will cover some of those things. Right now, the other issue that we have is everybody else out there is obviously pointing to Charlie Kirk. They're cherry picking a lot of different things that he says or has said in the past, obviously before he died. And people are kind of bending things to support their stance on this. Also, it's a lot of the people that hated Charlie Kirk, and we're going to cover some of that. But I do think that this little piece that Kirk released is very relevant. And let's play this real quick.
We know about Iran. Persia was a great power, and then Iran took a turn for the worst. Interestingly enough, there was the Shah of Iran, and then the Shah was displaced by Mossadegh. Mossadegh was democratically elected. Now, to be very fair, the United States and Britain got rid of Mossadegh, and then we reinstalled the Shah. Bad decision, which then led to the Iranian Revolution, where radical Islam took over Iran. Look at some of these pictures of what Iran used to be. It was wealthy, it was proud, it was strong. The Persians are wonderful people. Some of my closest friends are Persians, and I love the Persian people. And we should have a heart for the Persian people to try and have a better future. Regime change is very difficult to talk about. I actually don't like talking about regime change. It's very complicated, but understand that there can be brighter days ahead for the Iranian people. And just look at some of these pictures of how beautiful Iran used to be, how beautiful Tehran used to be. And it's very easy to kind of sit in your Western armchair and be like, oh, Israel's terrible. Well, you were able to enjoy free speech rights and a lot of rights here in the West that Iran used to have. And if you are serious about actually protecting human rights, you should want to make Iran Western again.
Couldn't agree more. Anytime that we're getting into foreign policy, and especially when we have unstable regimes like Iran or North Korea, look, it's complicated stuff. There is no easy solution to it. But what I do know for a fact is that just ignoring them and allowing them to get a nuclear weapon is not the correct solution. There's a lot of options on the table between that and complete isolationism, and everything in between. So right now, I'm pretty happy about these strikes. And what I don't want it to turn into is a prolonged war. I don't think it will, but that's yet to be determined. Pazzy001 said Iran contributed to Iraq being unsuccessful. Ultimately, I think to some extent, we can kind of say that Iraq is successful. It is much more stable than it was, especially in 2008, 2009, when it got really crazy. Yeah, but Iran definitely contributed to a lot of American lives being lost. There's no doubt about that. I will try to hit the super chats as we go along, because I do want this to be an episode where we involve very much your comments, and you guys help direct the conversation overall as well. So Dom C, thank you very much, Dom C. Gifted 10 Paramount Tactical memberships. We appreciate you. Pancakes and peanut butter with Karo syrup is delicious. Also leads to diabetes.
It's moderation.
Instant diabetes. I love it. Drop him off up here in Limestone, Tennessee, in the mountains, home of David Crockett. We will change his heart about our country. 160th in the house. Thanks, my brother Gary. God bless the USA. Thanks, Jack. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for your service. Night Stalkers. Iranians are celebrating the streets of Tehran tonight at risk of death by the IRGC. That tells me they are pretty motivated regardless of percentages. I agree. You just, again, here's a little bit of it's great if we have the Iranian people on our side. Great. If they're not, I don't really care. When you're constantly threatening the United States and you're out there chanting death to the United States and death to Israel, and you're the number one sponsor of terrorism that has led to countless American lives being lost. I don't even care about the Israelis. When they have killed countless Americans and we've never gotten our due vengeance for that. Again, I know many people that have been killed by EFPs. And we never did, that was one of the most frustrating things about that entire war for me personally, was we knew Iran was involved and we weren't holding them accountable. We found many Iranians and their special operatives out in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah, when we grabbed them in Iraq, of course, we knew what was going on. But again, we were tracking their rat lines, their smuggling lines, everything else. We were tracking weapons coming across the border. We knew what was going on, and we were not doing anything. for a lot of different reasons. But, you know, so I got no love for Iran. And when I see Americans out there saying that we're rooting for Iran, like, F you all the way, dude. You have no idea what you're talking about. And if you do know what you're talking about, then I would love to go hands on with you, because you're rooting for the people that killed my friends. That's what it comes down to. And many other countless Americans.
They don't have any, they don't know what they're talking about.
They don't.
I'm beginning to notice that more and more. Like, a lot of people just have no clue what they're talking about. They pretend like they do.
Yeah.
But they don't at all.
Right there with Candace. I just want to show you guys this tweet. This was 6/21. This was right after the strike on the nuclear facilities that Trump did. Iran gave President Trump no choice. For a decade, he has been adamant that Iran will never get a nuclear weapon. Iran decided to forego diplomacy in pursuit of a bomb. This is a surgical strike, operated perfectly. President Trump acted with prudence and decisiveness. And here we have Kurt Metzger. You effing bizarre-shaped head, fake-ass shill, motherfucker. You should wave a Pam Bondi bullshit Epstein binder around like a waterhead to celebrate. And this is Kurt Metzger, same guy that is constantly promoting and defending Candace Owens as well. By the way, who cares whether anyone likes or trusts Candace? Trump has utterly betrayed all of us. Surely you can see that. I wish I would have, right below that, we had a lot of affirmation coming from Project Constitution, from Coach Colin, among many other people, all the same people that are promoting Candace Owens. And I hope people see what's going on. What I'm realizing more and more is that the same anti-Semitic, anti-Israel artificial bot thing, this is what is fueling Candace Owens and many of these other people.
Well, real quick, for those who don't know, Kurt Metzger is a comedian who also just happens to be a pretty regular on the Jimmy Dore show.
Do you actually know about a
Yep. He's regular on the Jimmy Dore show. And my God, you talk about an idiot that doesn't know what you're talking about. Jimmy Dore is just another one of those for sure. I thought I shared. Oh, this is the one I wanted to show you as well. Again, you are a disgusting psychopath. This was in response. Was it the same tweet? I believe it was the exact. Oh, here we go. There we go. Exact same tweet. These were some of the responses to them. You're a disgusting psychopath. You're such a despicable lying piece of satanic trash. Yay, another traitor, slave for a foreign entity. Does Israel have you on tapes too? By no choice, you mean Netanyahu has pictures of him on Epstein Island? These are the same tropes that we're seeing. Jake Shields, Charlie, you're so retarded and fake. And these are so many of the same people. Here we go. TPUSA is Israel first after all. And this is back in June, long before they started all the nonsense that we see today. It's the exact same people that have hijacked Charlie Kirk's death, that were attacking him to begin with, that are now pretending that they're trying to find justice for Charlie and trying to completely revise history and what Charlie's actually said. What it came down to, if you go through many of his older videos, older tweets and everything else, Charlie Kirk was not going to get behind a long, drawn-out war. That's what he wanted to prevent. And what I would also say is, again, the American people are stuck in this false binary choice. We always had all of these capabilities on the table to address places and regimes like Iran, where we didn't ever need boots on the ground. That's why we have, $100 million guided missiles that we can take that missile and we can put it through, a doorknob 10,000 miles away. And we have a lot of other capabilities as well. So, whether it's airstrikes, whether it's cruise missiles, there's a lot of that's why we have stealth technology, so that we can actually infiltrate into a country without them even knowing that we're there, be able to bomb the shit out of them and get out of there. We don't need boots on the ground. But again, because of Iraq and Afghanistan, everybody in their mind, any of this military action requires this long drawn out war. It doesn't. Now, again, if we go that direction, you're going to see me, unless something brand new comes out that completely changes my mind. I know where these things go, and I was a part of it, and I was victimized by it, if you will, right? Like, I did 4 combat tours. I saw what was happening there on the ground. I saw the fraud, waste, and abuse at the expense of American lives that were taking place. I am not going to back that. So, there's just, like I said, it's not just as simple. Do we go to war? Do we not go to war? It's much more broad than that.
And we're on day one.
Yeah. This is all the same things that people were saying when we did the attack on their nuclear facilities.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson famously said this is going to lead to 20,000 American lives lost. He was
This
wrong.
is going to start World War III. Hearing that again.
Yeah. Look, there were these whole bunch of pundits during the global war on terrorism, the Bill Cristols, you name it. They were completely wrong on all of that stuff. And now we have it on the complete opposite side. And by the way, Tucker Carlson famously was supporting all of that. He was a Warhawk back then too. He was right there with Lindsey Graham and everybody else early on in those wars. And now what we have is like the polar opposite swing that we have taking place over here, where it's like, no, we can't do anything. We can't hold these people accountable that are threatening American lives abroad. And again, it's just not true. The Israel guys are reporting that since Iran is indiscriminately bombing other Muslim countries, those countries may join with Americans to fight back. Could this end this conflict more quickly? Absolutely.
I could be wrong, but I feel like a few of them have already come out and pledged support.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, it was UAE that they struck. Who else did they hit? Iran. We'll look up some of those. But I do know that UAE was struck in a couple other places. I think somewhere in Saudi Arabia, and I think they tried to send some missiles at Jordan, but I think those were neutralized. We'll look at that. Everything is happening quick, folks. Thank you, Frank. My good friend from 19th Group escaped Iran with his mom when he was 3. The majority of Persian people are very pro-America. They're good people. I agree. And a lot of these people are very pro-Western. They don't want to be under the thumb of this Islamist regime. So I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic with what's going on. The other thing I would say is what these allow us to do is make sure this is a deterrent for some of these other countries, nations, terrorist organizations that think that Trump is just going to allow them to run roughshod over the United States in our interests. And I think this is long overdue.
So I'm just looking here from BBC. It was in the region, there's Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, and Kuwait. All were struck. And this was earlier today, so there may even be more than just that.
Let me see if I can. We do have confirmation, as much as we're going to get, that the Supreme Leader was dead. I'll just go ahead and throw this up on so you guys can see this. So this is from NBC News. Iran's leaders Israel targeted Iranian political and military leaders. 2 U.S. officials told NBC News that while the U.S. aimed to take out Iran's ballistic missile and nuclear programs, Trump urges regime change. Trump urged Iranians to take over your government. The hour of your freedom is at hand. Couldn't agree more. We shouldn't be involved in regime change. We should set them up for success, and then allow the Iranian people, if they want to change the regime, then they're the ones that should do it. I don't want to send Americans fighting for their country. They need to fight for their own country and risk their own lives for their country. The death toll, the Iranian Red Crescent said more than 200 people have been killed and roughly 700 have been injured. Iran responded by firing missiles at Israel, as well as the U.S. bases across the region, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Jordan, sending ripples across the Middle East. I think there's been some injuries with that. I don't think any actual deaths have been reported. In an exclusive interview with NBC, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says Iran was interested in de-escalation and willing to talk to the U.S. and Israel halted and Israel halted attacks. He told Trump and the regime change was mission impossible. Look, Iran has a long history of playing games with us. We gave them 10 days, and those 10 days came and went. And this is what they did throughout the nuclear discussions as well, even with the Obama administration. Just the Obama administration allowed them to play these games. Well, a new administration's in town, and they're not going to play these games. So either you get to the table and come to an agreement, or you end up DED, dead. That's how this works. That's how it should work. These aren't games. We shouldn't be playing games. This is real people, real lives at stake. David Webb says, I understand caring about the Iranian civilians who don't like their government, but to support the Iranian government is messed up. I agree. I assume you're talking about Ryan Mata and his nonsense. And the thing is, folks, he's not the only one. There's the reason he's saying that, because he's a click whore. And the reason that he's saying that is because that is a very popular message amongst, I don't even know what you call it. It's definitely on the left. And then I don't even like saying woke right, because these people are not right wing by any stretch of the imagination. These people are anti-Trump. They have been for a really long time. And they're the ones that, again, this is the Candace Owens. This is the Baron Colemans. This is the Ian Carrolls. Ian Carroll has led this movement for a really long time, pretending to be a conservative or something, when in reality, everything that he says and everything that he does are nothing but left-wing talking points.
You bring up a really great point. Isn't it amazing how, let's just say you and me, for example, Gary, okay, there's probably some things we disagree on. Pretty sure we've talked and you've given me pushback on some thoughts that I had, right? How is it that your Baron Colemans, your Ian Carrolls, your Candace Owens, your Ryan Matas, how is it that they all agree on everything, it seems? Isn't that strange?
It's so phenomenal. Like, and what's crazy and so disingenuous is, like, from the very beginning, mid-September, you had all of these people, and I wasn't even aware of it at the time because I was doing my own thing and investigating and debunking other nonsense. I had no idea what Candace Owens was saying. It wasn't until later on, when I went back and started investigating what she was saying early September, that I saw that again. And then through her, I see, like, the Baron Colemans pop up, tweeting the same thing, saying the same thing, the Coach Collins, the Ian Carrolls. Like, there has been direct coordination from the very beginning of all of this. And then I still think there's this huge element of outside boosting, bots and everything else that are boosting her, these other people's messages, and at the same time going around and, you know, trying to antagonize and discourage any sort of opposition. So there's clear coordination from the beginning.
Incredible. It's incredible.
And then what they have to do to try to push that on the left and try to make it a story on the right, rather, on us, is they have to create a fake email, an AI generated email, where the guy admitted that it was an AI generated email, and then they have to say that we are coordinating. I wish we were. I hope we are, folks. We on the right need to coordinate. We need to get serious about this. There's, like, we can only do so much as independents, and the reason that the Candace Owens, the Baron Colemans, and the Ian Carrolls are winning is because they are coordinating. They are completely aligned with one another, and they also understand how to manipulate social media. And of course, there's a lot of interests that are behind them that are pushing this. So, you know, whether it's an Islamic interest, whether it's a Democrat interest, whether it's George Soros, Iran, Russia, like all of these countries and all these different competing interests all have something to be gained and are definitely going to hijack the Candace Owens movement so that they can push this anti-Israel message, which is, you know, definitely part and parcel of what she's been saying about all this from the beginning. But it is amazing to watch. And then it's amazing for them to project and then feign, you know, sit there, clutch their pearls when they're like, oh, the right is coordinating. They're using the same words. They're all calling Candace Owens demonic. Like, I don't think I've ever actually said demonic until recently. Once they started, I was like, yep, she is demonic. I'm jumping on that bandwagon. If we can make that trend, I'm all about it, because she is demonic. What she's doing is
because there's no way that a whole bunch of people could come to that conclusion on their own. They would absolutely have to be getting paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. Amir Sarfati, an ex-Israeli military Christian who lives in Israel, reported earlier today that special forces for both Israel and America are on the ground in Iran. Thoughts? I don't know. I haven't seen any confirmation of that. It wouldn't surprise me, and I don't have a problem with special operations being on the ground. That's what we're there for, right?
Yeah,
So
I feel like that would be pretty typical, right? And I'm pretty sure like we have special forces in Syria, so it's
yeah.
I mean, they're kind of right there.
We have special forces in Iraq.
Yeah.
I have been across the Iranian border multiple times. Not very far in, but patrolling from the Iraq side over to the Iranian side. Some wild stories in there. There's these deep wadis that we're actually doing night operations, and we were on four-wheelers, and we were patrolling because we knew we had all of these weapons and ammunition and everything else coming across that, and we were there to interdict those. But there's these huge wadis along that border, and we were driving through four-wheelers all night long, and then finally daybreak hit. We realized these wadis, and I'm not kidding you, tens of thousands of landmines that we've been kind of rolling through all night long. They just washed out from both sides into these wadis, and luckily none of them went off, and none of them seemed to be operational, at least the ones that we ran over. So God was looking out for us that night. But we definitely went into the Iranian side. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time.
It was a good time. I'm not saying we're trying to get a firefight started, but maybe we were. A senior Arab diplomat told the Times of Israel, Iran knows America wants this over as soon as possible. Iranians are hoping they can drag it out. Mere survival would be considered a victory for them. I agree. They're lucky that anyone's alive in there because we have the military capabilities to have prolonged airstrikes, and we can break out a whole bunch of dumb bombs and just start carpet bombing. But we are being very considerate of civilians. And look, there's not even the Iranian regime and the Iranian military. We can wipe out in less than a day, folks. We can. And people have become, I don't know, ignorant of our true capabilities because we've withheld them so much through these long wars. Everybody looks at Iraq and Afghanistan and says, hey, these are our capabilities, and clearly they weren't good enough to fight these people in sandals. Folks, that is not the case. What we could have unleashed on Iraq and Afghanistan, we could have did what we did at the very beginning and won that war in a couple of days, took out Saddam, which I think in retrospect was a mistake. We could have completely dismantled Al-Qaeda, killed everybody in Afghanistan that was associated with Al-Qaeda, and pulled out. That's not what we did. We decided to do this weird nation building thing, which I think it was pretense for a bunch of defense contracts making billions of dollars, and that's exactly what they did. Only to leave billions of dollars worth of equipment and weapons in Afghanistan when we pulled out of there. Any Americans siding with China, Russia, not to mention Iran, are definitely traitors. As an American of Lebanese Greek heritage, both my ancestral homes have been destroyed by this ilk. I agree. President Trump is making Iranians safe again. Well, that's the thing that's going around, right? Make Iran great again. Because Iran was a great Western society at one point, and we just saw that in that video that we played with Charlie Kirk. And again, anytime Islam is involved in anything, everybody gets taken back to the Stone Age. It doesn't improve anything.
Yeah, I mean, well, and we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. We will see what takes place. We have prepared, at least started to prepare the objective for the Iranian people to choose their own future, and it's up to them. And I don't want to see mass U.S. troops in Iran for sure.
No, I think that would. I mean, I think the midterms are going to be a little difficult the way it is, but I think that they would lose any support they have left if we end up seeing like legitimate boots on the ground, tanks, that's not gonna. That would not be a wise decision, I don't think, for this administration to do that.
I completely agree. Speaking of Ian Carroll, I just happened to pull this up and look what we got here.
Oh, sweet.
Ian Carroll says, holy shit, the propaganda is an overdrive. Imagine how many shekels are being spent on influence operations right now. Hot damn. Did you get a check?
No,
Bro?
I haven't yet.
I still haven't either.
I haven't even gotten an email.
Yeah. Trying to see. Here's a good video.
Where is this?
I think it's New York. I'm not sure where that is. Washington, D.C. Matter of fact, you know what? I might head to Washington, D.C. tomorrow. And it's an hour and a half away. I may go check out to see what's happening there on the ground. That might be interesting. You guys let me know in the comments if that's worth checking out. Most powerful footage to come out of today is Israelis and Iranians are dancing and celebrating side by side with the street. All right, that's about enough of that music I can take.
You know, I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it. I think one of the biggest issues that we have as Americans is, for whatever reason, people view politics and geopolitics through a black and white lens.
Yeah.
And it's just not. You know what I mean? None of us have any idea what kind of discussions are going on behind closed doors. We have no clue.
The other thing that people believe is that if you do the right thing, whatever that they've determined the right thing is, whether it's isolationism, it's an attack, whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. That there's not going to be negative consequences. And no matter what, even if we do the right thing, there will be some negative consequences most likely. And we have to understand that and be willing to accept that. And you know, there was negative consequences of us getting involved in World War II. The ultimate outcome was the right outcome, but it also cost a lot of American blood and treasure. So we need to understand, and I think we would all agree that if we prevented World War II and had gotten involved earlier, if there was a way to prevent World War II, I'm not saying that there was, but the point there is there's some decisions that you have to make that are the best for the country that are not without negative consequences. That's the thing. And then what happens is you have whatever party is not in power at the time that wasn't involved with that decision is going to latch onto those negative consequences and blow them out of proportion, or just rightly highlight them for what they are. That's not what happens in politics, but to frame it as a mistake. Currently, I do not think that these strikes in Iran are a mistake. I think they were long overdue. I think that we should have struck their nuclear capabilities long ago. I mean, there were literally no negative consequences of the airstrikes back in June. Like, we at least damaged their ability to make nuclear weapons, without a doubt. I don't know at what extent. There's going to be hyperbole from the administration that said they completely decimated their nuclear capabilities. I don't know if that's true or not. I take that for the political speech that it is, but I do think it was the right choice. And, you know, we're going to see what happens with this. There's nobody that can convince me that Iran getting nuclear weapons, especially ballistic missiles, is better for the world. It's not.
No. And there's these same people are tweeting about, like, wishing Iran had nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I understand not liking war. I get all that. How you can be like, oh, I wish they would have had nukes. What? Do you not know anything about anything? These people, man.
Yeah, when you are from the side that will strap nuclear weapons, that will strap a bomb to a 10, 11, 12, and I've seen this. Young kids turned into suicide bombers. If you're willing to do that, you do not get a nuclear weapon because they will use it. And the problem that we have here in the West, stupidly, and this is one of the problems that I talked about a lot through the global war on terrorism, because we had a lot of generals and other people that I dealt with that were in the conventional side all the time. What they do is they project their own sensibilities and how they would react to certain things onto these freaking booger eaters that don't understand how your brain works at all. You might as well say, you know what, if I'm nice to this grizzly bear over here, he won't hurt me. And when you sit there and say, look, if we just leave them alone, they won't attack us, you can be more wrong. These people do not think the way that you do. They do not see the world through the same lens that you do. They do not have the same morals, sensibilities. They think that killing that Jews and Americans is good. All right. They think that's virtuous. And once you've done that, and even use your own kids to do it, I want you to think about that. Think about the idea that you are so radicalized that will you take one of your kids, put a bomb on them, and tell them to go over there and strike a target. And by the way, you're the one over here with the clacker that determines whether or not that bomb goes off. That's the evil that we're dealing with. That is Islam. I hate to offend anybody out there, but I'm just telling you that's what it is. It is win at all cost, whether it's long-term, slowly invade a country, slowly take over a country through just plain flat out reproduction, or do it with military might. Whatever means necessary, they will do it. And we need to recognize that it for the threat that it is. And that's what's nuts about the Candace Owens crew is they're constantly either directly or tacitly defending Islam. And it blows my mind. Like, I don't care. You've lost me when you are sitting there saying, hey, Israel's a real problem, but over here I'm going to protect Islam. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. It's wild. We live in wild times. Lady Phoenix Gray 3923 has become a YouTube member. Thank you very much. We appreciate your support. Tucker and some of them may make a switch and be okay with this as Iran target in Qatar. Maybe. I don't know.
Have we heard from old Tucker yet? Has Tucker made a statement?
I haven't seen it if he has. Look, I think the whole point behind aligning with Qatar and some of these other is they are so against Trump. And right now, it doesn't matter if it's their whole philosophy is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And whoever is against Trump, the left, Qatar, Islam, that's who they're aligning with themselves. That's what we're seeing.
I gotta stop looking at X.
Yeah, it can be
it's yeah.
I do want to play this quick. It's a little 14-second video. I don't even know what he says, but this is Ben Shapiro. So let's go ahead and play this real quick and see what he has to say about it.
President Trump is the most courageous commander in chief in modern American history. There is no question about this. What he just did is the bravest move by a president of the United States of my lifetime, bar none, without a doubt. President Trump is the most courageous commander in chief in modern American history. There is.
Well, that's just a small snippet. You know, I am a little bit curious to see how Alex Jones is.
The Jewish community in mind.
You're right. We control the media.
I don't think Alex is doing okay.
Because they go ahead and do pawn sacrifice and detonate a small atomic bomb in Israel. and say Iran did it and just trigger total world war. I mean, that's where we are. Anything is possible with the lunatic globalists and the lunatic Islamists, the Shiites.
Of course, it jumped all the way to the end.
By Trump. And Trump said, you know, if they're going to get a nuke, I'm going to go in and stop them. Now, here's the big story. And I told you this at least 15 years ago, and then I talked to other Pentagon sources, and they said, yeah, that's true, and you shouldn't know that. But they have cars, you know, vans, taxi cabs, you name it, that the West has in Iran that drive around that have sensors on them that scoop up the air, and then they send it back and have it tested. And 15, 16 years ago, they were driving around the enrichment centers. So they stick them out in the middle of nowhere trying to keep away from that, but they can also follow vehicles that are transporting it. And they picked up heavily enriched uranium from the centrifuges. So when you hear Israel saying for 20 years, you know, oh, they're 2 weeks from a nuke, that's because they have been. Now, just because that's true doesn't mean Israel has a right to strike them. We're going to attack North Korea because they have nukes?
Yes.
I want to be clear. Iran is trying to get a weapons program. They refuse the peaceful program and the free fuel to build power reactors. They don't need reactors. They are full of oil and gas. So it is true that they've been pursuing a nuclear program. I don't believe you have a right to attack them just because of that. Can Iran attack Israel because they've got nukes? It's just a fact. Now, here's the headline, and this is officially on the Iranian news channels. Iran needs only 1 week to conduct a nuclear test, says member of Iranian Security Committee, their Security Council, and a high-level member of parliament. So I predicted all last week, you saw it on the show, I said it yesterday, that Iran may announce, oh, we have the nuke. People said, oh, well, years ago they passed a national, or the imams, the Ayatollah announced that under Islam we're not going to build a nuke, and we promise under Islam we won't. That means absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
And so now today there's a bunch of statements by the council. We can have a bomb in 1 hour. We can have a bomb in 1 day. We can have a nuclear test within.
Yeah, look, I think anybody that believes anything that has been put out by Iran saying, or for Iran,
we remove hate,
saying that they are not much closer to a nuclear weapon or don't already have a nuclear weapon, I think is just nonsense. We heard the same thing that with North Korea for a really long time. All these people on the left specifically were defending the idea that North Korea was years away from a nuclear weapon. And the next thing you know, we have evidence of testing. Here's where I'll say, in my opinion, that we have the right to strike a country with nuclear weapons, or because they have nuclear weapons, when they are openly saying and threatening, death to America, and they're threatening the United States. At that point,
for 45 years.
Exactly. And have a long history of terrorism and killing Americans all over the world and enabling terrorism and sponsoring terrorism. So, you can take Israel out of this completely for all I care. Our interests are aligned because our enemy is the same. That's where we have this overlap. But you can take Israel out of this completely. I'm glad they're helping with this. I'm glad that this was a joint operation. So it's not just Americans risking their lives, and it's not just Americans risking and using our treasure to take out this threat. We have Israel helping us out as well, which having regional support is huge. And that's one of the strategic advantages of being partnered with Israel. It allows us to project strength in the Middle East. There's no doubt about it. So, that's where we're at with this. And, Iran is a sovereign nation, but who cares? If you are going to threaten us and we have the capabilities, that's just how everything is. Like, the world works by force. That's how this works. And if we have the force capable of taking you out when you're threatening us, when you have little peon countries like Iran that don't have nearly the military capabilities, and North Korea threatening the United States, it's a real problem. Now, the only reason we haven't done anything to North Korea is because what their ability, how they can actually attack South Korea, and regardless of what we do. So there will be tens of thousands at least of deaths of South Koreans, no matter what we do as far as some sort of strike in North Korea. And that's the only deterrent that we have against striking North Korea. But Iran doesn't have that. And you know what? They're in the find out phase for sure.
I would be interested to see what these people's solutions are. Okay, so let's say that, like, I don't know if some of them would say it, it'd be nice, but let's say that we cut ties with Israel. No more Israel. No more Israel in government. No more support for Israel. Nothing. Then what? What does that do? What does that change?
I mean, it doesn't make the region safer. I'll tell you that. I mean, that's my opinion of that. So, and that is the end goal. Like, I don't even, all this comes down to, and for a long time, I'll tell you, early on in this whole Candace thing, I was kind of open to the idea, like, maybe I'm missing something with Israel. And again, I was very indifferent to Israel. I still am for the most part. Didn't really care about Israel, but when you're constantly sending comments in my YouTube videos where I'm saying, hey, nobody got shot with a palm gun, and the reply is, oh, you're just paid by Israel. Like, what are you talking about? So I started getting a little bit more interested in this and seeing where all of this nonsense, because it felt artificial to me, and it is artificial. I know it is. And then you see people like Ian Carroll. I've invited Ian Carroll. I want to hear your perspective, Ian. I've sent him text messages. I have his phone number. I was like, hey, man, I just want to hear your worldview. I'm just going to sit and listen. I just want you to convince me that Israel is the threat that you purport it to be. And I've listened to a lot of his content. I think out of everybody out there, he probably makes the best case. But we can be talking about anything. You can be talking about any industry, period, whether it's the health industry, global finance, whatever it is. And it always just goes back to Israel for Ian and a lot of other people out there. At the end of it, we got Israel. And, you know, I sent him a tweet the other day. I was like, hey, why don't you just save us all some time and just state the problem and let us know that it's Israel. And then we don't have to listen to 45 minutes of your content, because that's where it's going to go no matter what. Linpel 33 says, oh my God, LOL, you said booger eaters. I'm scarred by 4 older brothers. Gary, I had to step out, so I missed this. Why is everyone second guessing Tucker now? I asked the other in 2, but it wasn't about Iran. So Tucker, for a really long time, for like at least the last, I'd say 6 months, has been going off in this weird trajectory where he's trying to convince everybody again that Israel is the problem. It's more complicated than that. And this is coming from someone that I love. There's 2 podcasts I used to listen to every day. Don't get to listen to them as much, but I used to listen to Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan just about every single day. Joe Rogan for entertainment and Tucker Carlson for, I don't know, politics and what's happening in the world. And I just started seeing where he was smuggling more and more anti-Israel stuff into his commentary time and time again, and then started having on, and I don't have a problem with him having on controversial figures. But if you're going to sit there and turn an interview into an interrogation when you have those on the right, whether it be Ted Cruz or whatever else, and then you have people like Ian Carroll on, and all you do is high-five them the whole time and don't push back on any of their nonsense, or Nick Fuentes, you name it. There's lots of folks. Like, I started seeing a problem bigger and bigger and bigger, right? It just became obvious to me. And I was in denial of it for a really long time. For me, the culmination of seeing where Tucker was in all this was when he spoke at Charlie Kirk's memorial. And he's sitting there talking about, and he's like, oh, so you're trying to tell me that it wasn't some guys sitting in a dark room eating hummus. I was like, oh my God, dude, he just accused Israel of killing Charlie Kirk. And it was very obvious. And then at the end of it, it became a really big controversy. And he was like, what are you talking about? I wasn't saying Israel. I was just saying people eating hummus. Like, it was so disingenuous and so fake. At that point, I was like, clearly something has gone awry with, and there's a lot more to it. You can look it up. I don't know is there anything you want to add to that, Bronson?
Yeah, I don't understand the argument with the Israel thing. Like, I just don't get it. So their whole thing is Israel gets us into all these wars. We wouldn't be in any of these wars if we weren't allied with Israel. It's like you think the only reason that we went to war was because Israel said go to war. You don't think there was business interests?
Yeah.
In that 20-year war we just had? You think that's just all Israel? We're just doing it for Israel. So we cut ties with Israel. All of a sudden, America just has no more interest in wars anywhere. There's no more people that get elected in power that have no more interest in wars at all. None whatsoever, because we cut ties with Israel. It's just not real.
No.
So I don't understand what their thought process is there.
And one of the cases they try to make and they point to is Bibi Netanyahu's speech in front of the UN for going into Iraq. What they also forget is Tony Blair in the UK were completely on board with going into Iraq as well, and many other countries, by the way. So, and ultimately, the United States is responsible for its decisions. It wasn't just Israel pushing us there. And there's a case to be made too. There's been plenty of things that Bibi Netanyahu said that you can take that as face value as saying, hey, he was trying to warn us from going into Iraq. I don't really care one way or the other. Point is that it was us, it was our politicians that decided to go for U.S. interests and not the American people's interest, but a bunch of rich billionaires' interest. I think that's what was the primary driver. And there were a lot of other countries involved. It wasn't just Israel. And Israel doesn't have the hold on the United States that people claim it does. It's just factually untrue.
Everybody's got their own agenda. We wouldn't be doing this in Iran if it didn't in some way benefit the United States or people in the United States.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
What I do believe is the sincerity of Donald Trump. All right. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe I'm foolish right now. But I do think, look, if they were going to capitalize on this moment and they wanted to turn this into the boondoggle of Iraq and Afghanistan, that's what would be being discussed right now is a bunch of boots on the ground, nation building. I don't think Trump wants us to do that. I think that Trump, in all of his faults, is very sincere about America first and genuinely wants to do what's right for this country. And I've seen that time and time again, that this is why so many of the Republicans hate him. I mean, that's just a fact. So, it's his last term. He's probably doesn't have that much longer to live, quite frankly. He doesn't have to do it for money, which is what we wanted as a president, right? We wanted a president that wasn't driven by money and interest and everything else. And it's very clear to me that Donald Trump isn't driven by those things. I'd like to hear a case for the other side of that. And I know people will try to make it, but I just haven't seen it personally.
Well, their argument would just be that it was the Epstein files and they have dirt on Trump so they can control him.
Yeah, that's why Trump released them. Why didn't Biden release the Epstein files?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that. He was the president for 4 years.
Didn't even talk about him.
Nope. And nobody on the left talked about the Epstein files. No, barely anyone on the right talked about the Epstein files. And now that Donald Trump released them, now people want, because some email said something about, babies being eaten or whatever else, like, let's just arrest everybody. I mean, that's their answer to this, which is, it's just,
or they want investigations from who, guys? From the same people that you don't believe are doing a good investigation in what happened to Charlie Kirk. You want those guys to go investigate? Like, what are we?
And you still have to have probable cause to even start an investigation. Like, out of everything that I've seen, whether it's stuff that I've looked through or that I've seen reported, there's no there. There's nothing there that would even make sense. It would be a complete injustice and abomination of the use of the justice system if we just said, hey, there's this email that exists that you were mentioned in, so now we're going to investigate you and or actually arrest you? Like, do we not believe in the justice system, or are we going to believe what is clearly, to me, I think the Epstein files is just another psyop. I think there's things that have been included in there to damage people. I guarantee you things have been removed from there.
Yeah.
Like, we have no idea the validity or the credibility of anything within the Epstein files. All of us, including me, we thought we were going to see like videos of clearly this is this person doing this lascivious, devious thing. That's not what we have. What we have is a bunch of emails, some random pictures, some random videos that don't tie anything to anything, that aren't conclusive. There's nothing conclusive that I've seen in those. So I don't know what people want.
So the government releases the Epstein files, the same government that they don't trust handling the Charlie Kirk case. Okay. The same government, but those Epstein files that they released, well, all of a sudden, those are absolutely valid. Those are real. We have to believe that screenshot of a piece of whatever, that's legit. But the evidence that the FBI put out against Tyler Robinson that they've shown the public, that's not, that's fake.
Yeah. All of it's fake. It's quite the dilemma.
Well, it's just whatever's going to make you the most money, I guess. What, you know?
Yeah, it's absolutely asinine. Let me get some of your other questions and comments. I pulled it down. Sorry, Dana. Sorry, we were leaving that up there too long. Good point, Bronson. You made a great point, Bronson. That's why I brought him on here. All his points are great. You know what? I've listened to like probably 3 of your podcasts, folks. If you haven't listened to Bronson's podcast, you should. It covers a lot of great topics. I just want to tell you, I think in all 3 of them, you've mentioned me and you've defended me and Paramount Tactical and the things that we're doing here. So I appreciate that, Bronson.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. You were nice. Like, this is why like the Baron Colemans are going after Gary and things along those lines a couple times. So I appreciate that.
Well, because on this side of it, you're the one that's going to have, in a lot of people's eyes, the most credibility. So they're going to need to attack that. They have to damage that. 100%. That's why they're not going after people like Artie Trolls and me. You know what I mean? We're just a couple of dudes on the internet.
And regardless of what anyone wants to say, and I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit. And I'm only saying this because of the amount of attacks I've had specifically and directly from Candace Owens and some of her other minions, is clearly what I've said and what I did with Mitch, amongst other things that I've done, has been effective. And I do think that I've been one of the more effective voices against her. And I appreciate everybody else jumping in on here. But that is why that so many of these attacks are directed at me, and they have to completely create this false narrative of, you know, me confirming that Mitch Snow was there, even though I always said that he was there, or whatever it is. You know, so anyways, you know what? I appreciate it either way.
And they're giving themselves away by doing that, because everybody who pays attention to you and watches you knows that they're lying. Like, you can clearly see the lies. So it's like, okay, well, if they're willing to just lie about some obscure YouTuber, what are we talking about?
I am officially the obscure YouTuber. I've been on, either mentioned directly or shown video clips of my videos on Candace Owens at least 6 times. And I think the number is actually 8, but at least 6 times. So I'll take that as a trophy. Trump loves America. It's obvious he is doing something right for America because everybody in Washington hates him. This is exactly right. The entire establishment, both Democrats and Republican, hate Trump. And I do feel like he's being sincere, and I do feel like he's making the right choices. You know, sometimes Trump lets his ego get in the way of it, but you know, I'll tell you what, I mean, the State of the Union speech, that was the best State of the Union speech I've ever heard, period.
Do you have, sorry, go ahead, do your thing. I'm going to send you, I want to watch the Trump speech that he gave when he announced that we were attacking. I'd like to hear those words more carefully.
Yeah, send it to me, or you can throw it on the present or invite.
I'll just send it to you because I don't want to screw that up.
Penelope Husker says, wait and see if Candace Owen has tip line info that Erica was behind calling the strikes on Iran via her ties with Trump, Vance, and Bibi. It'd be a fresh angle, and she's out of fresh conspiracies. Buckle up. It's going to get more and more wild for sure. Late to the live event. Don't know if it's been covered yet. I'm wondering when the attacks on U.S. soil will come from Iran cells led in by Biden. No, that hasn't been covered. That's a great point too. Look, we had 4 years of millions of people. I think the peak that we're reporting was 3.2. I believe that was the peak of illegal immigrants coming across the southern border. So we have, let's say on the low side, we have 8 million people that came in during the Biden years that we have no vetting done. We have no idea where they came from, why they're here. And then on top of that, adding insult to injury, we're paying for their life. They were given phones. They were given credit cards. They were given housing. They were given food. Your tax dollars, look, the number is definitely not zero. All right. The number, I believe, is at least more than 100, probably into the thousands of people sent here from places like Iran and other countries specifically to conduct terrorism and going to be activated as terrorist cells here in the United States. I think that that number could easily be into the thousands, but it's definitely not zero. And we're going to see it happen. And hopefully the FBI is doing their job and going to prevent that. The FBI, the CIA, maybe they'll stop spying on us for long enough to actually do their job. You sent that over to me?
I did. Just to make a point on that, how do we know that we haven't found a bunch of them and gotten rid of them, deported them, whatever?
Well, we could have, and that's absolutely true. Let me share this tab. Let me throw it up here.
I don't know about the tweet. I just seen that he had the video.
Imminent threats. A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels in international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. So lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
All right. So right now, it's of my opinion that we are executing with the correct response to Iran. I want to show this to you just because it's pretty cool. All right. So this allegedly is a U.S. jet. And you know that pilot had to clean his pants out when he's done. That is insane. All right, let me hit some more of these questions, comments. Just seen some of our so-called allies in Europe. It says this was uncalled for. I guess they are still butthurt over Trump telling them to pay their fair share for defense and quit sucking off the U.S. Yeah, who cares? Who cares what the weak Europeans that have been completely overrun by Islam have to say? Couldn't care less. They're absolutely worthless. And their opinions mean absolutely nothing to me. Find anything else over there, Bronson?
I don't know if you want to pull it up.
Sure.
I would just go. So Andrew Tate has an interesting take on this entire thing.
Okay.
Not sure how you feel about Andrew Tate. You could just go to his timeline. He hasn't posted much today.
Okay.
It was he says this is the tweet is this is not a real war. Retweet this video in 48 hours. And then
I go to Andrew Tate for geopolitical advice, but
I'm always interested in hearing people's takes.
Yeah, no, I agree. So this war is over, is it? Why isn't Tehran already rubble? Never was a war. It's theater. Countries are the actors. To play with the playwriter controls governments. Keep you distracted from what matters and focus on, oh my God, Dubai is over. This is the matrix controlling our mind. Is that what you're talking about? That one?
No, but I mean, it's a video he posted of himself. If you scroll down a little bit, it was 9 hours ago. And the start of the tweet is, this is not a real war. And then it's a video.
There we go.
This video may make me look stupid. In a week from now, we could see a full-blown Middle East. I'm going to make a prediction. And I'm going to post it now on Twitter. And this video may make me look stupid in a week from now. In a week from now, we could see a full-blown Middle Eastern war. And everybody can retweet this and mock me. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think this is all theatrics. I think this is bullshit. I don't think this is a real war. I think that we have some shrapnel from interceptors, which has fallen inside of Dubai and caused fires, yes. But Dubai is not being bombed. Tel Aviv is not being bombed. Tehran is not being bombed. This is all global repositioning for a new future in the Middle East. Everyone who has decided not to move to Dubai is now laughing at the people who decided to move to Dubai for stability and safety. They're saying, look, Dubai's getting bombed. Look, you should have stayed here, where you have to face the constant and persistent threat of crime, and you might get robbed for your watch or stabbed to death, and you have to give half your money to a hostile government. Ha ha ha, you move to Dubai and you're getting blown up. Nobody's getting blown up. Interceptors from the UAE are taking down Iranian drones and missiles, and yes, there has been some shrapnel which has fallen and caused some fires, but this is not a bombing. Anybody who remembers the Iraq war remembers the videos of Baghdad when a real war begins. That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened in Dubai, hasn't happened in Tehran, and it certainly hasn't happened in Tel Aviv. A real war would see Tehran currently in an entire ball of fire. What do you see coming out of Tehran? A plume of smoke on the outskirts and a bunch of people pointing at it. You call that a fucking war? That's not a war. What this is theatrical.
Well, you don't have to play the whole thing. I mean, he kind of makes his point.
We can play some more of it, but no, this is not a war. This is a precision strike. That's what this is. This is not a war. I don't really know what his point is exactly. Is he saying if we were serious about taking out Tehran? Like, I don't really know what his point is.
No, I think his point is just that my Muslim country is safer than yours. Yeah. I think that's his overall point. But the interesting take is that he's got this theory that it's not a real war, that this is all theater, and it's because we're changing everything over in the middle. Like, I just thought it was interesting. It's always interesting to see what people like that say.
It really is. All right. So allegedly, all right. And I have seen some of these pictures and videos reported by larger media companies. So this is allegedly Tel Aviv. So just based on this video, much less the other videos we're going to show, clearly Andrew Tate is already wrong that there is real bombs dropping in Tel Aviv. So again, I'm not quite sure what his point is. All right, I know this video and this picture was reported by CBS, Fox News, and a couple other ones. So there has been a missile strike in Tel Aviv, which I was actually surprised by. I thought between air assets in the United States air assets, as well as the Iron Dome and Israeli assets in the air, I didn't think that we would see any missiles get through, but clearly they did. So a real war.
I'm not going to lie, that always makes me a little suspicious when missiles get through.
It does, but I can tell you, like, for instance, we had similar systems mortars. We had similar systems for mortars and rockets and things like that over in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they don't always work. And that's just a fact. Some things get through for sure. And it could be because the amount that they sent, the amount of missiles that they launched, we probably got 80% of them. And then sometimes the systems just fail for one reason or another. What I'm always suspicious of is actual videos. I just ran into a couple that I almost played, come to find out they're from like a year ago and in different locations. So be careful what you look at, folks, and do your best to vet it.
Speaking of which, I had a question. I don't know if you saw that video of the alleged school bombing. Was that legit or not? Where I guess there was a school that got hit and had, I don't know what they say, like 40 or 50 schoolgirl casualties or something. And there was a bunch of people sharing like video aftermath of it allegedly. But then I see some were like community noted saying it was a video from, I don't even know how long ago.
Yeah. So I have seen that. And I've seen a bunch of, again, the woke right. It's the only thing I know to describe them as, even though I don't like that description. The Candace Owens crowds, the anti-Israel crowd, already pushing that all over X. And I have seen in multiple videos saying that was debunked, that's not correct. But that is the favorite piece of propaganda that we've seen from Gaza, used in Gaza, that have been proven time and time incorrect, that that Israel struck hospitals and all these people were killed. Come to find out that was true, or schools or whatever else. And by the way, they tried to use that even in Iraq and Afghanistan as part of missions where it was being reported on the ground that a target that we struck was a school and killed a bunch of kids. Come to find out it wasn't. That was never true. It wasn't even close to true. So it's their favorite trope. There's no doubt about it. So anytime that you see any of that stuff, anything that is pulling on heartstrings, be suspicious of. Doesn't mean it's not true. It happens sometimes for sure. Thoughts on us, the USA, still giving Taliban 40 to 87 million a week. That's just one part, according to Sarah Adams, we're funding the U.S. cells. Yeah, look, I have a real problem with that. And I was surprised to see that continuing as far as we know under the Trump administration. I thought those funds would be cut off. I thought those funds would be eliminated during the Doge audits. I disagree with it. I don't know how they can justify that. Do you have any other information on that, Bronson?
On still funding the Taliban?
Yeah.
I would assume we still have a use for them in some way, shape, or form. Or somebody does.
Yeah, somebody does. You're not wrong. I actually want to look that up.
While you're doing that, I just wanted to point something out, and I'll make a quick point on it. So Ian Carroll just posted, says, I wasn't about to believe Israeli or Western sources reporting this. This is as far as the Ayatollah being taken out. But now the Iranian state TV announces the death of the Ayatollah. So it's legit. Because the United States and Israel, they're propagandists. We can't believe them because all they push is propaganda. But Iran wouldn't push any type of propaganda ever. They would never lie about anything.
No. If the Ayatollah was still alive and they wanted to, whisk him off to some place of safety, the Iranian media would never try to cover that up. That just tells you, like,
the fact that they're confirming it makes me think maybe they didn't get him.
Exactly. Like, he's probably alive. He's going to Pakistan right now. iRule 2530 says, for a free Iran and a free Cuba too, it's now or never. So proud of Trump and our brave men and women. Yeah, I would like us to see, number one, I would just like to have Cuba. And I know technically, I think Americans can travel there. I wouldn't do so with the current situation. But I would like to see Cuba liberated for lots of different reasons. Number one, seems like a really great vacation spot, and I think we could do a lot better with it than what the Cuban government is doing. Preacher 52 became a YouTube member. Thank you, Preacher 52. We appreciate you, man. Thanks for becoming a member. Everybody else that wants to support this channel, again, link down in the description below. You can click that. You can become a member. It's a couple bucks a month. It goes a long way to help us out. We appreciate it. If you want to go support us over on X, you can go to my profile page there, link in the description below as well. You can become a subscriber. And again, it's a couple bucks a month, but it goes a long way. It helps us continue doing what we're doing. Helps me pay for the guest fees like Bronson's getting. He charges a lot. I'm like $7,000. 30 to 50 million. They were flying them in daily on the Biden administration, multiple flights on the same time they were crossing our borders. Monkey Wars, U.S. tracked all the flights. I agree. I don't know what the number is, but I think I would be, if he told me that 50 million illegal immigrants or immigrants, regardless of where you want to classify them under, came in under the the Biden administration, wouldn't surprise me a bit at all. I'm guessing that people have been sent over to form terrorist cells. Docs will have been forced to make them legal rather than illegal immigrants, so they have longevity in the United States. I don't think it matters. Like, either way, everybody that came in under Biden were given temporary status papers. That was the thing. It's like, okay, in 2 or 3 to 5 years, you got to show up to an immigration court, and we're going to decide whether we're going to keep you. And if you don't show up, they don't do anything. There was no enforcement of that. So that's the issue, is that for all intents, and then you just go to a liberal city like Minneapolis, nobody's going to kick you out. You're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter how illegal you are. That's the problem. But your point remains. Gen P3, praying my son isn't sent over, but I know it was his idea to sign up for the military, pray for our soldiers. Absolutely. I hope that we don't get more involved with this. I hope we keep this a fairly small military operation and don't turn this into a boots on the ground war. And definitely, I'm praying for all the military out there.
Have you heard anything about Mexico at all?
Regarding what?
Don't
drink the water?
Sending in troops?
No, I haven't. I think there are U.S. Special Operations troops on the ground there.
Getting ready to go in after the cartels?
I think they're going. I think they're doing joint operations with Mexican military. I almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
To all the DJT haters, the Ayatollah is no more. The regime change was way overdue and not a J conspiracy diversion. Rock the Casbah. 11 Charlie out. Got a Mortarman in the house. But to be honest, with Hegseth and Trump, I'd go back if they'd let me. Yeah, look, I felt that in the first Trump administration. I was this close to going back in. All my buddies were sending me pictures and videos from Syria where they were just wrecking shop. They were taking out ISIS left and right over there and doing some great things. And the Trump administration just unleashed them the way that they should have been. Elise 616, thank you. We appreciate you. 45 Charlie 4 U2 $1.99. Thank you very much. F-18 video is from the video game called War Thunder. Need a better way to fact check in real time than paying the super check. Okay. Yeah, I actually saw that. Fair enough. I mean, it is what it is. Why is the audio cracking so much? I don't hear it on my side. Do you have any cracking going on your side there, Bronson?
Nope.
Anybody else let me know if there is audio cracking? It may just be your side. We have right now we have 1,200 viewers across different platforms. When I have one person or two people saying that the audio is jacked up, it's usually on their side of the house. CJ Correnti gifted 10 Paramount Tactical memberships. Thank you very much, buddy. And then, of course, Big Money Grip, Lucas Razor, $200 super chat. Thank you, Lucas. Love hearing the truth. Thank you both for keeping us informed. Like, there's a lot of stuff developing as we go along here. I will definitely do some more coverage tomorrow. I wasn't planning on doing this tonight, but we'll definitely get a lot more information is going to come out, and these stories will develop. Bronson, if you're around, man, I'd love to have you back on. So, if you're available tomorrow, jump back in.
Sounds good.
And then Pappy, just supporting us for the sake of supporting us. We appreciate you, Pappy. Look, here's what I want you guys to do right now. All this information was free. This is the only thing this is what it costs you. I want you guys to go, and if you're on YouTube, go subscribe to Rage Bronson's channel. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up his YouTube, and I'll put the link down in the description. Or Con, one of you guys over there, Con or Ben, one of you guys can do that as well. Throw that in the description. Probably do it faster than me, but I'm going to do it as well. If I'd have known he was coming on, I would have had it down in the description already. That's not what I meant to do. Trying to click on, there we go. Rage Bronson. I'm sure somebody already got it. Do me a favor, go subscribe to him. Go start watching his content. He's doing great things. If you're on X, go find him on same handle, Rage Bronson on X as well. Yeah, all these people are saying no cracking on their side. So can't fix everybody's audio issues. Yeah, they used to have people in bikinis, and Iran used to be a great vacation spot for a lot of Americans. Gary, what do you think of a Remington 700 and 308? I don't know if you can see it. It's over there. Oh, it's right there. So there's a Remington 700 and 308 here. I'll make my screen big just so you guys see that. All right, so that rifle right there All right, that is a Remington 700 and 308. Here's what I think about 308. I get this question all the time. People call me up asking which rifle they should buy, what caliber. Look, 6.5 does everything that 308 does. It just does it better, and it's definitely becoming even more prolific than 308. 308 is going to go the way of 30-06. It's just a fact. Nothing wrong with 308. 308 does a great, it works. It's great. If you want better ballistics, you can go into just about any place right now and get 6.5 Creedmoor, a larger selection. Just people aren't buying 308 the way they used to. So therefore stores aren't stocking 308 in the different, everything from multiple different types of match grade ammunition. Obviously it's still popular. That being said, 6.5 is going to do everything that 308 does, and it does it better. It's less recoil. The ballistics are better. Nothing wrong with 308. If you just want 308, get a 308. It's a great cartridge. I would advise getting 6.5 though over 308.
Just get both.
I haven't seen Marcus for a long time. Yeah, Marcus hasn't even been active on X. Like I just think he isn't interested in the nastiness of all of this. Last time I kind of talked to him about all this, he's like, you know what, I'm not interested in getting back into this until the trial. So we'll probably see him back then. So yeah, no, I miss having Marcus on. I miss seeing him and his opinions on X. He's just doing other things, and I really don't blame him. I think he's probably wise. We have two goats and a dog says yes, cracking. I don't know where the cracking's coming from. There's a couple of folks that are hearing some cracking. Don't know what to tell you. Yeah, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like, subscribe. I hate always saying that. Like, share, subscribe. There you go. But for CMP. All right. I don't know what's going on with the audio. Some of you guys are having some issues. Some of you aren't. Well, listen, I think we're going to call it a night there. Folks, look, these, I don't even know what they are. You know what? Really what they all are is anti-Semites, anti-Israel, that anti-Israel crowd. Until this escalates further, and I don't think it will. I mean, we may have some more kinetic strikes that take place, but I don't want to see boots on the ground. I don't think boots on the ground are going to take place. I think we need to look at it for what it is. And this is a threat that has been rising for several years that has been being ignored, and Trump wasn't going to ignore it. He's the only adult in the room like, hey, look, we got to do something. And there could be some negative consequences of it. Doesn't mean that it's not the right answer. And there's a lot of folks that are going to hijack this as well and try to convince you that the Trump administration, just like Bronson said earlier, he made a great point that they're already using, like this is just an attempt to distract away from the Epstein files. I've yet to see anything that's worth pursuing in the Epstein files. Nobody here wants pedophiles to go free. Nobody here wants to let people that are allegedly, eating babies or whatever else is going on in there. Some of the stuff is just so nuts, so crazy. I think some of that is just, I don't know. I do think it's a psyop. I really do. I think we've been duped into waiting for this now. Could be some people in this current government. Could be people in the Biden administration. I'm biased. I'll openly admit it. I think some of the stuff came from there. Some of it's just, when you get into this and you see some of the people that are making some of the allegations, they are just mentally ill, crazy people as well. So you got to take any of that stuff that comes out as a grain of salt and know that any of it will be weaponized politically, as well as what's going on here in Iran is going to be weaponized politically. I hope that we see an outcome where maybe we have some more strikes, airstrikes, and we set the conditions so that the Iranian people can conduct their own regime change. I do not want to see the United States get involved in regime change or nation building. That's where I'm going to draw the line. We're nowhere near that. And there's a lot of options between now and then and that. So we'll wait to see what happens. Right now, I'm going to trust the president that I voted for, that so far has done an extremely good job, has done a great job over the last year. And there's all these people that are trying to convince you otherwise so that the left wins. If the left wins, forget about Iran. Like we have much bigger problems. Bronson, your thoughts on everything?
I think we just have to wait and see. I think we need to just don't, you know what I mean? Don't jump to rash conclusions. We have no idea. We're in day one. No clue what's going to happen. In my personal, my personal feelings is I can't imagine that Trump is going to push troops on the ground, knowing we have midterms coming up. He's got to know that that would be devastating to midterms. But we'll see.
You know, the other element that I agree with you. One thing that I've never seen Trump, and remind me if there's an instance where it seems like he did. I don't see where he's kind of pandered to his base with some of these decisions. I could see him making a decision that will potentially hurt him in the midterms if he thinks it's the right thing to do. The other thing that with Trump is, in his mind, he'll be able to turn it all around no matter what, right? Even he's like, all right, I know it's going to hurt me in the midterms, but it won't hurt me in the midterms because I'm just going to be able to get out there and, give a speech or two and everything will be fine. So there's some ego that you got to deal with Trump. I do think that Trump is probably one of the most honest politicians that we've had in office for a really long time. You know what he's thinking. He just tells you what he's thinking all the time. And there's no mystery to any of it. So
I would use the example of the Epstein files as far as him pandering. He pandered a little bit.
Oh, and finally, you know what?
They kind of blew that.
Yeah, they blew it. He tried to kind of look, I think Trump was briefed on the fact that there's just not as much there as anyone thought. And he was ready to move on. I could be wrong. Maybe there's something else behind that, but I do think ultimately he did cave in and release them because of public pressure. I think you're on point with that.
And to be a little fair to Trump, I think that falls more on Bondi than it does Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Lyle Bolliard says George Bush listed Iran and North Korea were the axis of evil. It's true. I just don't know. Mentioning George Bush, I don't know if it lends credibility to that assessment or not. That's for you people to decide. Kendra Bowers became a member. Thank you very much, Kendra. We appreciate you becoming a member. And I don't know if I hit it or not, but Pappy, yeah, I hit that one earlier. All right, folks, listen, we're going to shut this down for tonight. I want you to have a great rest of your weekend. If something else new develops, we might throw a new live stream up right away. We appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your support. Hope you have a great weekend. And until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.